Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and this is my review for Magi, the Kingdom of Magic, Episode 3, aka Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, Season 2, Episode 3. Now, this one, it starts off with filler, believe it or not. They're not supposed to be at a dock or anything like that. There's no scene with Yamaraya bugging Aladdin about his packing, or anything like that, and a bunch of that stuff is just filler. When we get to Morgiana walking along, that's when stuff is actually canon, but like I said before, they weren't supposed to be at the dock for that scene. It was just Morgiana, Aladdin, and Hakuryu by themselves off somewhere. Sinbad and the 8 generals weren't there, so you might be thinking that it doesn't really matter that much, but it does a little bit. Not in terms of the story or anything, but just in terms of the comedy. Because Morgiana says the same stuff, I decided to go see my homeland, get some closure. I want to thank Hakuryu for that, blah, blah, blah. Then his rook turns pink. And Aladdin's like, oh, hey, Hakuryu, your rook is pink. But in the manga, this wasn't some, drawn out thing. It was literally just like a panel or two. That's it. A panel or two. But the anime, they drew it out, and they showed Sinbad's reaction, and Yamaraya's reaction, and Shah Khan's reaction, and Hinahoho's reaction, and everybody's reaction. And they just drew it out, and it just lost its charm. It wasn't funny anymore. But after that, the stuff is mostly canon. We do actually finally get to the dock. Masfer is telling Morgiana about the Finalese hunters in the Lame Empire. Yamaraya gives Aladdin the Eye of the Rook so that they can communicate back and forth, and Sinbad wishes them well. But then after that, we go back to filler. Pisty's lines, Dracon's lines, that entire thing with Spartos, it was all filler. Jafar's conversation with Hakuryu, it's all filler. All filler. So, I will admit that I laughed when Aladdin didn't remember who Spartos was, because to be honest, I didn't remember his name either. I knew he was one of the 8 generals, I just didn't remember his name. But, I laughed once, but most of it was filler. And the thing that struck me about this episode is not only did they add filler in to stretch out the episode, but they took scenes from the manga and took them out. So if they wanted to lengthen the episode a little bit and end it where they didn't have to add filler. They just could have animated what was in the manga. Like, for instance, here there's in the anime there's a scene where Aladdin and Morgiana and Hakuryu are thinking, Alibaba, he didn't come to see us off or anything like that. But in the manga, before that happens, that's not all that happens. In the manga, we learn that Kogyo-kun left the day before. And not only did she leave the day before, but Alibaba saw her off like they were incredibly close. Yet, when it comes to Aladdin and the others, he hasn't talked to them for days. So, in the anime, Kogyo-kun just disappears. You don't know where. I guess you can assume that she left, but you're never really told that. You don't know if she's left already, if she's going to leave later and she's still in Sindria. You don't know. She just disappears. And if any of you are Alibaba and Kogyo-kun shippers, then you'd probably be disappointed that they didn't include that little scene in there of Alibaba sending off Kogyo-kun. But after that, we go to the ship. It turns out that Alibaba snuck on. And there's some comedy here. Alibaba's planning out all these different ways to reveal himself to Aladdin and the others. None of it works out. Then Aladdin and the others are just messing with him. They're just screwing with him. So there's some comedy there. It turns out that they knew he was on the ship already because Sinbad told them right before they left. But that was kind of funny. Alibaba tells him that he's going to go to the Lame Empire, to the Colosseum specifically, because Sinbad told him that the reason he can't master his Jinn equip, his full Jinn equip, is because he has two different types of Magoi. His Magoi's changed qualities or something like that. And the manga had a certain reason for why that happened. A reason that I didn't like, because it involves a character that I don't like. But the anime might do it differently, because in the anime, the first season ended with an anime original ending with Alibaba turning into this like black Jinn thing or whatever, doing a black Jinn equip or whatever. So they might try and say that his change in Magoi, his second type of Magoi, is due to that, to try and avoid, I guess, some inconsistencies. You know, whenever someone uses a black Jinn equip like that, they die. Kashim, Dunya, they die. They have stuff stuck inside of them and they harden, turn into like this charcoal stuff, and they die. It's not gonna happen to Alibaba. So that's an automatic inconsistency right there. But they might try and do something about it by saying that this change in Magoi is due to the Jinn equip, the black Jinn equip. But whatever. If that happens, then I'll tell you the real reason why it happened in that episode. But for now, we know that he has two different types of Magoi, and he's going to the Lame Empire so that he can meet up with this tribe that is really good with Magoi manipulation. And it turns out that Sinbad had this problem before, and that's who he went to, the Yambata tribe, I believe. He went to them to learn how to manipulate Magoi and be able to do his full Jinn equip. And Hakuryu actually went there too, and he's stealing all of Alibaba's glory and stuff like that. Whenever Alibaba wants to say something, Hakuryu says it instead, so that was kind of funny, especially when at the end Alibaba was just like messing around with the dominoes, so that was actually pretty funny. After this, we go to the scene with Sinbad, Yamaraya, Masfer, and Shah Khan, and that's filler too. I mean, we're back to filler again. I laughed in some of the parts of this, but so I guess it wasn't bad filler, but I mean, filler is filler. It's unnecessary. Then they go back to Aladdin, Alibaba, and everyone in the ship. They have it's like this montage of different scenes of them on their little voyage. That's all filler. I mean, I guess I can understand, but in the manga, what happened is that we start off with the scenes from earlier with Alibaba, them messing with him saying that he's going to go to the Lame Empire, all that stuff. Then it just skips to the end of their voyage where they're already like, they can see land, and Morgiana's like, hey, I can see fire over there, something's wrong. But it just skips to that. Then we have this one panel, flashback panel of Alibaba cutting that sea serpent thing, that creature of the sea. And this, like the captain or this old guy, is like, oh man, we wouldn't have been able to make it if it hadn't been for you guys holding back all those creatures of the sea. And everyone's like, oh yeah, well, Alibaba took care of most of them. Then he does this pose. He does this pose, and he's like, yeah, well, since I'm so unpopular, I had to show you guys that I can be I can be cool at times, you know? So it was better in the manga. In the anime, they added the filler. They drew everything out again. They had them all like down below, like laying in their hammocks talking, and that's when Alibaba does the "I'm not popular" line. You know. So not only did they add filler again there, but they again took out a scene from the manga. There was a scene in the manga where the pirates are legitimately introduced. We see their leader. You know, she's like kind of shrouded in darkness. We only see her silhouette, but we see the pirates down in their base. They hear that a ship is coming, so then they go up. Then we go back to that scene where Alibaba and everyone there, they see land, and Morgiana sees the fire and stuff like that. Then everything from here on out is again canon. Finally, the boy comes up, the ships come up. Then they attack the ship. Yeah, but that's it for the episode. Unnecessary filler. taking out scenes from the manga that they should have kept in. There was some comedy that I found funny, and they threw a little bit of plot in at the end. But, I mean, technically, most of it's relevant to the plot because they're leaving to go put. They threw in some plot at the end. Overall, it's an alright episode. The comedy doesn't negate the negatives. So, overall, I guess I'll give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It was alright. That's really it, though. Some scenes were funny, but some scenes weren't. A lot of filler, taking scenes out, like I said before. It was an alright episode. The manga was better. If you're an anime-only viewer, then you might have thought this episode was better than I did, but as a manga reader, I know that they did things worse than the manga, so it's not as good as, in my opinion, but that's it for now. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.